Well, a pleasant good evening, sports fans. Welcome to another edition of the PR Man and the Coach Talking Ball on the Ballfather podcast presented by Sportskeeda. I'm Reggie Roberts, longtime NFL executive, as your host tonight. And we got the Wizard on the phone doing his thing, Walt, the Wizard Wiz. What's up, Big Walt? What's up, baby?
What's going on, Reggie?
Hey, man, listen. Hey, you and I are going to keep this kind of short today because you know what? It's playing basketball on the TV tonight. Ice Trail, as we speak, Ice Trail on the TV tonight, man. So we got to go check him out in the late game. I don't know if we'll be able to stay up that late. Oklahoma City is playing New Orleans. We're going to check that out. Check out my homeboys, my Louisiana team. Check them out. I just want to just kind of get into this playoff team thing, man. I was doing a little research earlier today about just kind of checking out some matchups of the teams that have won. And I found some really, really interesting stats, including some stats from your team, your Sacramento Kings, who, as we have to keep talking about it, snapped the longest streak of the non-playoffs in the NBA history for 18 years. Do you know that your Sacramento Kings have the best road record in the NBA? Are you aware of that?
I was not aware of that, man. That is unbelievable.
Your Sacramento Kings finished the season at 25-16, which actually it's tied for first. I'm sorry, it's tied for first with Boston and the Philadelphia 76ers. They were both 25-16, and then the second place team was the Milwaukee Bucks, who were 26-15. That's an important step because you know what? You got to be able to compete at this level, to compete for a championship. You've got to be able to play on the road. You've got to be able to be a good road team. You and I were talking about that last week. How you love playing on the road, so it sort of fits into the whole. You got to be able to play on the road to be a good team.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why the Kings are where they are going into the playoffs. We discussed it the last time. They spent a number of weeks at the number one spot. And that directly had to do with the way they play on the road. So it is a different animal when you get into that playoffs, though, experience and things like that. But I think that everybody expects the Warriors to roll through the Kings because of that. But elements like that, being able to play on the road, having a guy like Mike Brown being in the fold, being able to play, move the ball around, and play unselfish basketball, and also having that element of a go-to guy in crucial moments. So they have all of those things, to make this a very competitive series. Let
me give you this one, okay? Golden State's got, they've got the championship pedigree. They've won it 4. Steph's got 4 rings. Clay's got 4 rings. Draymond, that whole group's got 4 rings. Steve Kerr's got, as a coach, they've got 4 rings. But let's not ignore the 1,000-pound elephant in the room. They were 11-30 on the road this season. That is a problem. 11-30, and this isn't like a light switch. You just can't turn it on and turn it off. If you haven't played well on the road all the season, that's probably going to follow you into the playoffs. So I don't think for one minute the Kings don't have a puncher's chance to go in and upset Golden State. I think they got a legitimate shot based on how well they play on the road.
Absolutely, they do, and especially that element right there. Because when you talk about the Warriors and the dismal record that they had on the road this year, you look at the way they played. They did not shoot the ball well. Defensively, they were not consistent at all. And so if those things continue, they're not going to be able to win on the road in the playoffs. So those things got to rectify itself. They have been playing well as of late. You can see offensively they have a real spark there. But on the defensive end, they have to step it up. They have to be more consistent on the defensive end. That's what wins games on the road.
Well, here's another stat. Guess which team in the NBA this year led the league with the most points scored on offense per game. Led the league in scoring. The team with the most points.
Oh, that's the Kings for sure. The Kings.
Yeah. 120.7 led the league in points per game. 120.7, which is an impressive stat. Okay, Golden State had let's see, Golden State had 118.9, but the bad part, the stat that's really bad for them is they allowed 117.1 points. That's not going to get it done in the playoffs. So you know what? For all these people, all these experts talking about, well, Golden State, they got the playoff pedigree, they'll turn on. I don't think you do that in basketball. I don't think you can do that. I think the Kings are well coached. They're hungry. They've got a really good team. They've had a really good season, and I think they're going to surprise a lot of people as we start these playoffs. I really do.
Not only that, they have 6 guys that average double figures, and they're not bad on the defensive end as well. So the thing I'll tell you about the Warriors, though, they've been banged up a little bit, and that allowed them to be inconsistent throughout the season. You look at Steph being hurt for a number for some games, just trying to get into a rhythm from Draymond, doing that ridiculous thing of punching his teammate, and then also Wiggins just missing a couple of months at the end of the season, so he's coming back as well. So they're going to be right there with a full roster, everybody ready to go at a championship roster that they had last year. But I think there's something to be said for being in a rhythm. They were in a rhythm going into the playoffs last year with everybody being healthy and ready to rock. They are still getting pieces back into the fold, and so you want to hope that I think that Wiggins is a key piece. But if he's not able to do the things he was doing, the little things, rebounding, getting loose balls, but being an element of a guy out there who could score, that was doing those things. He was doing Draymond-like things, but he's a guy who could score. So that's why you saw Draymond not play as much in that playoff run. And you got a guy like Kumanji. He's a guy who's been showing what he can do offensively as well. So if Wiggins is not able to provide that energy and doing the scrappy things, but having that element of being able to score, maybe he's the guy that can step into that role. So I think the Warriors be talking about just Steph, Clay, those guys are just terrific. Poole. I think they just have too much for the Kings, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Kings took them to 6, 7, or even won the series, because they have a solid team. Like you said earlier, Mike Brown is a fantastic coach, so I think they have a lot.
We're going to just kind of set the table a little bit here with the standings. I mean, Milwaukee, I think, obviously is the best team in the league. They finished the record with the NBA's best record at 58-24, followed by Boston, Philadelphia, Cleveland, New York, and Brooklyn, who were 45-37. And then the teams that are in the play-in tournament in the East are Atlanta, Miami, Toronto, and Chicago. Switching over to the West, you got Denver, who's got 53-29, followed by Memphis with 51-31, followed by the Kings, Phoenix, the Clippers, and Golden State Warriors. And in the playoff tournament, you got the LA Lakers, you got Minnesota Timberwolves, the New Orleans Pelicans, and Oklahoma City. I just think it's going to be a loaded playoffs. I think it's going to be a playoff. The playoffs in the NBA are really long, and they kind of take a while to sort of to shovel things out. But I think it's going to be a really interesting year with regards to what Milwaukee's done, what the battle between Joel Embiid and Jokic in Denver. I think it's going to be intriguing. I think health is going to have a lot to do with it, and I think it's going to be really, really exciting for the fans. I'm going to just tell you this, Walt. For the first time in a long time, I'm going to watch I usually don't watch it till the finals. I'm just being honest with you. I don't watch it till the finals. I'm going to watch it all this year. Matter of fact, when I get done with you and I'm going to turn watch Ice Train in the second half do his thing.
Well, I tell you what, the playoffs, especially on the West Side, because of teams who have been banged up and inconsistent, like the Suns, Warriors, Lakers. These guys are 4th, 6th, 7th seed, so that makes for a very, very interesting first round of playoffs. I think the Suns-Clippers matchup is going to be a tough matchup. If Paul George can get back healthy. If not, I think the Suns will have a pretty easy time with the Clippers. But other than that, I think that on the West Side, those first round games are going to be some very interesting, tough games. I think the East Side is a little bit more telling you expect the Bucks to get to
Yeah,
the end.
absolutely. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think that the only team that really can challenge the Bucks on that side, I think the Sixers, because you have the element of Embiid. I think he's the guy who would be the best player on the floor, the way he's playing this year, and the way he could take over games and how unstoppable he is. And I just think the Sixers have the makings of having some others who can shoot the ball around them, so if they can catch some heat a little bit in that series, I think they're a team that's capable of beating the Bucks. But I think the Bucks are the favorite on that east side.
Speaking of teams who are playing really well, I always like to talk about teams who consistently make the playoffs because, to win the trophy, you've got to consistently give yourself a chance, and you do that by making the playoffs. And sort of kind of going over it, Boston has been the most consistent team. They've made the playoffs in eight consecutive seasons, starting back in 2015. So they've made it 8 straight years, followed by Milwaukee, who's made it 6 straight years, 2017 to 2022, including the 2021 NBA title. Utah is tied with Milwaukee. They've made it 6 straight years, 2017 to 2022, followed by Philly, 2018 to 2022, 5 years, and Brooklyn was 4 years, 2019 to 2022, and Denver. Again, you can't win the trophy in September and October, but if you don't give yourselves a chance to get into the playoffs, by being consistent, you can't get there. And the Celtics, who've been there for 8 straight years, they're a model franchise. They've got a lot of good players. There's all this talk about is Jaylen Brown going to break up the duo between Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. We'll have to wait till the summer to see how that all shakes out. But I tell you what, Boston's going to be a tough out in the playoffs. Philadelphia's going to be a tough out, and I'm thinking it's going to be either Boston against Milwaukee or Philadelphia against Milwaukee. What are your thoughts on that, Big Dog?
Well, I think that you're talking about the Boston team, man. They are a tough team. Like you say, Tatum and Brown, I think those two, they are a nice duo. You got surrounded pieces who can defend, shoot the ball, make open shots. Hauser, Smart, these guys can shoot the ball, and then you got guys who can defend. So Horford as well. So I think that Celtic team is a good makeup, and you don't want to lose a guy like Brown. You want to do everything to keep that together because you're knocking right at the door. You find a defensive guy out there on the loose that can maybe make it tough for Giannis to score. And I think that's a matchup problem, whereas they can't deal with the Bucks. I think Giannis will be too dominant in that environment, in that game, because Celtics don't have anybody for him. But and then they don't have a shot blocker really
right.
The basket, So I think it's just a matchup problem there. So they can find that piece and then add it to what they have already. Now I think that that gets them over the hump. So, but the Bucks there's something to deal with, man. Giannis, Drew. The way Lopez has been playing this year, Middleton has been banged up, and he hasn't even really been dominant. And this team has just been hitting all strides,
they got it all. They got the deep bench. They can do it all.
And they have guys who can score, and that same guy can defend as well. They don't have to say, "Oh, I'm gonna put the scorer in," or "I'm gonna put the defender in." So. That makes it even tougher with that team.
Yeah, to me, they're the most complete team. I mean, when you talk about top to bottom, scoring, defense, assists, passing, I mean, they are the NBA's most complete team without a question. The Milwaukee Bucks.
Hey, let me tell you something. Reggie. Let me give you a little fun fact.
Okay.
So James Harden.
Yep.
This dude has never missed the playoffs, man. He has been to the playoffs every year in his career, bro. So you put James Harden on your team, you guarantee you get to the playoffs at least, all right?
I gotta look at that. That's got to be at least 14, 15 years.
Yeah, straight, man. This dude is phenomenal out there.
Well, let me ask you this question: If you were coaching, and you were going up against Embiid, how do you defend that? What do you do? Do you run guys at him? Do you have the guards try to? I mean, what do you do to guard Embiid? What do you do there?
So it depends on who. If he's bigger than you are, I'm meeting him, around the free throw line, 3-point area, in between that area right there.
Yep.
Meeting him there and being physical with him from that point, so it won't be so easy for him to get post position. Because you want to make him rear out as much as possible, so double teams can get there quicker. They don't have to come down as far, so rotations don't have to be as long. If you're his size, you want to make sure that when he's on the perimeter, you want to be close enough to him not to give up a shot. He hits that, when he catch that ball in that free throw line area, that dribble, it has even pull up, man. It is almost an automatic shot. So
it really
you don't want to make that comfortable for him. You want to crowd that, and when you do that, he's more than likely going to be sure off the dribble. So your wing guys, you understanding that we have a bigger, slower guy on him, we got to be ready to dig when he beats him off the dribble. So you got to kind of get off of those perimeter guys a little bit, and live with the results of guys the draw and kick from Embiid and contesting threes and live with that. And so that's the best you can do. And then sometimes Embiid, but by him getting that ball at that high post area and being as efficient as he is from there, it's just hard to double team that area because you leave guys so wide open when you have to double team in the middle of the court like that. So he makes it a tough matchup because of that element of being able to score so consistently from the middle of the court like that, and then just so dominant everywhere else.
Is that, let me ask you just to piggyback and follow up. Do you employ the same strategy of trying to guard Giannis? Is it the same thing or do you have to do it a little bit differently because of his ability to bring the ball up the court? I mean, he's 6'11" or 7 feet, but he can dribble it, and he can go coast to coast. Do you do the same thing? You meet him. What do you do with him?
No, with Giannis, it's totally different with Giannis. Embiid has the element of being a very consistent 3-point shooter as well. So you want Giannis to shoot threes. You want to back off of him and make him shoot threes. You do not want to do that with Embiid. He's going to hit that consistently. Also, Giannis is more of a wing guy moving down court with a center-sized body. Embiid is a center that has wing game, if you really understand the difference. So Giannis is coming at you, attacking you from the wing area, going downhill at the speed and with the handles of a small forward type of wing guy. And so you have to wall him up more so. You can't guard him with one guy. He gets that element of all he has to do is get you a little bit on the side of him, and then he's so big and long, he ends up getting an easy layup. So he puts even more of a strain on a bigger guy because he's coming from right when he gets the ball across half court. He's attacking at you from that standpoint. And he normally guys his size don't have the lateral movement to keep up with the handle and the type of movements that he makes from the wing. So with him, you have to have help. You have to say, I got to get the ball out of his hand, and I have to live with these other guys shooting jumpers. I don't think there's any guy in the league really to match up with Giannis other than, I think KD can match a little bit with him. But other than that, I don't think the size and the perimeter speed, it's not just the speed, it's the kind of speed. He has wing speed. It's not a big guy that can move fast. He's a wing guy that's big.
Right.
So
I think you're right. The only guy can do it is KD. The Red Bells, he ain't been born yet. The guy who he ain't been born yet, Bob. He ain't been born yet. With the PR man, the coach talking ball on the Ballfather podcast presented by Sports Kingdom. We're going to skip around a little bit here. I want to talk a little bit about, I saw the candidates today. They listed the candidates for all the NBA's key awards, MVP, Rookie of the Year, and Defensive Player of the Year. I kind of want to talk a little bit about, just get to talk about some of the candidates. We're not going to go over what the guys did, but I think, I'm going to start with the Rookie of the Year award. They mentioned the guys. One of the guys was Jackson Ivey from Detroit, and then Tegan Murray for the Kings, Walker Kessler from the Jazz and Jaden Williams from Oklahoma. So all those guys had really good seasons. They were really good players, young players. They had really good seasons. But the guy who should win the award plays in my town is Paco Banchero, who played for the Orlando Magic. Okay, I wasn't fortunate enough to get over there to see him because I live about an hour and a half from downtown Orlando. But I tell you what, from the very, very beginning, from the day he got here from Duke, he averaged 20 points, 6.0 rebounds, 3.7 assists. He had some games there where he was the best guy. He was the best player on that team. He's long, forward, can post up, can shoot. To me, he looked like he got a little tired during the season, and his game kind of suffered a little bit because there were some games where he just kind of disappeared and didn't score a whole lot. But making that transition from the college game where you play 30, 31 games to that pro league where you play in 81, 82 games, that's a whole different animal.
Oh, it absolutely is, especially when your team counts on you to score, because that's a lot of energy you expended in every game. 48-minute games now, and
right.
You're doing for 80-something games, so it's an absolute difference. But I think, what helped Paulo this year is they have a lot of young guys on that Orlando Magic team, and normally when you have that element, everybody is just trying to go for theirs. They have a guy named Markelle Fultz, who is when I watch him play, he played like an old school point guard. He is very pass first type of a guard out there, and that allows all of these young guys to get busy and get off because he controls the environment. He controls he orchestrates things out here. So I think that helps Palu a lot, and I think that getting that ball in positions where he can be very effective has helped him be consistent. His ISO game, he's off the hook with that. But he had some guys. You named Jalen Williams as well from OKC. That dude has played well as well. Jaden Ivey, you mentioned him. Benedict McThurn, that dude has been consistent as well.
Yeah.
He's a baller as well. So, but I think Paulo, he's the one. He's the guy who's been doing it, averaging 20 a game in the rookie season. I think that says it all. He had one game and he had I think his high was 33, 34.
Yeah.
Putting up 30 as a rookie, that's not easy to do.
No.
He's grown men out here, so you gotta take your head off him.
Well, here's the one that I was most impressed with the defensive player of the year candidates. Brook Lopez with the Bucks is the guy they've mentioned. Even Evan Mobley from Cleveland, Nick Claxton from Brooklyn, and then Bam Adebayo, who I love. I love the way he plays. I love his toughness down there in Miami. Does a lot of the dirty work. Gets hit in the mouth, rebound. Bam's a 6'8", 6'9" guy. He's a tough guy anyway, and I like the way he plays. But the guy, the stat that I saw today was just, okay, admittedly, I'm a football guy. Okay? But when I saw this stat today, this blew me away, okay? And the guy I'm talking about is Javier Jackson Jr. for the Memphis Grizzlies, okay? The stat I read today blew me away, Walt. They said, when this boy guarded you, when this boy got into you, every player in the league shot 13.1 percentage points lower than anybody else in the league guarded. Now let's look at that. Let's examine that for a minute. Okay, if you shooting, 38, 40, 42%, 40, that's considered pretty good in the NBA. Okay, you making 38, 40% of your field goal. Okay, so you have 29 points a game. So this says when this boy guarded you, Walt, you shooting 13 points lower than when you were guarded by anybody else in the league.
You shooting in the 20s out there, man.
You shoot like me. You shoot like me. So this tells you. So I wanted to kind of get into it a little bit, and I looked at some clips. He's got first of all, he's real long. He got real long arms. Okay, he got real long arms, and he always seems to know a little bit about who he's guarding. He's always trying to take guys left hand away because most guys are right hand. Trying to take the left away. He's contesting shots, but he's doing also. He's kind of chucking you. He's kind of hitting you. He's hitting the ball. He's annoying just to watch. I don't even play basketball, and I was annoyed watching it. I was thinking, if you trying to go up against him and score, this guy he is a complete. She was distracting guys, and it was very, very interesting to watch. But I haven't seen a stat where a guy where every time he guards you, you're gonna shoot 13.1 percentage points lower than what you normally. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, man, this guy lateral movement is unbelievable. He was a late bloomer, man, in terms of his growth and his height. So he was a guard growing up. So his lateral movement, those things didn't leave him. He's like 6'10", 6'11", wingspan. It's unbelievable. So in a pick and roll action, he's able to guard guards, keep that distance. When they go to shoot, he can block. He can get to their shots. When guys are going to the driving to the basket, his athleticism, he is blocking big guys' shots. He averages 3 blocks a game. And here's the thing that hurts him. He only played 28 and a half minutes a game because he get in foul trouble a lot. So that's what hurts him a lot. He gets in foul trouble a lot. And so that's why you saw at the end of the season a guy like Brook Lopez. He had a solid season as well, but you see him rated #1 in terms of defensive rating because Jaren Jackson, he just didn't play a lot of minutes in comparison. You look at his 9.6% block percentage that he has right now. That is 7th all time in the history of the NBA. So this dude, he is doing unbelievable things out there, man. So I think regardless of the minutes he plays, I think that he's the defensive player of the year. You look at Brook Lopez, he has 193 blocks, so he's solid. Mobley, he's one of the best rated defensive players. He guards multiple positions. But here's what I think nullifies Brook Lopez, man. He has Drew Holiday. He has Giannis. I mean, that team, if you talk about the top 7 defensive players in this, individual defensive players in this league, they have 3 of them. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I tend to lean towards Jaren Jackson in this one.
Okay, all right, okay. We agree. And then the MVP race we talked about all year. They got Donovan Mitchell for Cleveland at number 5, Jason Tatum, Boston number 4, Giannis, Bucks at number 3, Nikola Jokic at Denver, and then obviously they got Embiid winning. I mean, you and I have talked about that at nauseam. I think Embiid's had a really good season. He led the NBA in scoring this season. I think he's going to be the MVP. Clearly, he's going to be the MVP.
Absolutely, he's been the most dominant throughout the season. So there's no question that guy has gotten it done this year. And I will be absolutely shocked if he's not the winner. Shocked.
You know what? We're gonna finish up. We're gonna finish up with the one thing that I saw that I was a little disturbed by earlier this week. We're gonna finish up with this last note here about the Mavericks. I was really, really excited when the Mavs signed Kyrie. I was really, really excited because I think Kyrie is a generational talent. I mean, I know he's, we kind of got on him a little bit. He had a little bit of a tough year with the trade and then the anti-Semitic comments and all that stuff. But everybody's making mistakes. Everybody, and he apologized for it. I think he grew from it and he learned. And I was really, really excited when he got to Dallas. But from a minutes perspective and a playing together with Luka perspective, it just didn't work out. It didn't work out for them. They missed the playoffs this year. But there's apparently the league is conducting some sort of investigation late in the season where the Mavericks have been accused of tanking. Not playing key guys, not playing Luka, not playing other guys on the team in an effort to improve the draft position. Now, look, it happens in the NFL. It happens in all sports. So I'm not gonna try to beat up Mark Cuban and his team because I'm a big fan of Mark Cuban. I'm a huge fan of Shark Tank. I watched the Shark Tank, so I'm a huge fan of Mark Cuban doing that. But I think I think, and then there was a whole thing. There was a whole thing the other day about how they asked Luka, one of the writers made the assertion that if the Mavericks don't have a really, really good offseason this offseason, as far as getting some extra pieces, getting some pieces to complement Luka, to complement Kyrie, that just like most superstars, if they don't build a team around him, that Luka may walk away. And Luka kind of poured cold water on it immediately. He says, I like it here. I think we're building something. I like Dallas. I like this team. He basically said, push back and just give me and Kyrie a chance to get healthy. So, what are your thoughts on that whole thing? What do you think they need? And what do you think comes out of that investigation, if anything?
I think they need more shooting around those guys, because those guys are going to garner a lot of attention. They're going to get a lot of double teams. And so you're going to have guys who can spot shoot. Not guys who are trying to create as much, but can spot shoot and can defend. So you're going to need that. And you want to stay away from having to do this too much. Oh, I'm a sub and put the shooter in. Oh, I'm a sub and put the defender in. We need that same guy to be able to do those things. Be a spot shooter and defend. So they get multiple guys who can do that. I think in terms of, I think Luka wouldn't leave because it has to leave a sour taste in his mouth. You have a guy the caliber of Kyrie Irving, and you don't make the playoffs. I think that wouldn't sit well. We got to come back and run this back. And I think he has a lot of pride. He's one of the best players in the league. They talk about him. They talk about him early on in the MVP race. And so he's a guy that's that caliber of player. And now you talk about his sidekick being Kyrie. They're supposed to win. And so I think he would want to do that again. His competitive nature, his pride, and I think Kyrie would want to do that again too, to just see how it works out. They were not healthy. In terms of tanking and the investigation and things like that, I mean, we see it. It happens. But my goodness, dude, you can't say it. You can't talk. You can't say it. What the hell? What the hell is wrong with you? Now we got to do something about it. So I think that the league has to take the step right here to save face. What can they do? I think their hands are tied. We got to take it to this extreme, take it to this level, because you said something out there like that, put us on Front Street. Now we got to do something about it. So I think that the Mavs put their foot in their mouth, and so, hey, you got to live with what the consequences are. But I can tell you this, Mark Cuban is one of the coolest, if not the coolest owner ever, man. That dude is so down to earth, and man, he's cool as hell. I love that dude, man, for sure.
I'm cheering for him. It'll be really interesting to see what they do, because I think they're close. I think you need a shooter. I think you need a couple more shooters. They need, but you're right. They have to defend, and I don't think they're that far away. I really don't. I don't think they're that far.
Luka and Kyrie, they're not defending anybody. So the other three, you gotta have the other three out there defending.
Right. Yeah. Right. The next time Kyrie play defense will be the first time. Well, listen, we'll leave it there. Listen, man. Go turn the TV on to see Ice Trade. I got to go check out my man Ice Trade. So we'll go check it out. We'll check out the playoffs, and we'll be back next week to see who plays well, or see how bad Milwaukee beats somebody, and then more importantly, we got to see what happens with the Sacramento Kings.
Sacramento Kings, man, they're gonna shock the world.
Shock the world. All right, McWalt. We'll talk to you.
Brother.
Thank you.
Yes, good to see you.
I'll good to see you. Bye.